welcome back, everyone. We are so happy to welcome John Ray, Haven founder and CEO and podcast host, along with Alex Wallace, marketing manager and podcast executive producer, and Spencer Ernst, public relations and podcast co-host. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on Unscripted.
Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right, so I mentioned podcast a lot, which we will get to, but I just want to kick things off with, explain what Haven Home and Hospice is and what you do.
Yeah, we've been around for about 14 years, and we do home health, hospice, home care, which is like private duty, Medicaid. So we do all kinds of comprehensive services to keep the elderly in their home, and that's been our main focus for 14 years.
I think when people think of the word hospice, there's a certain thing that comes to mind. And they think it's very sad, but you guys offer a lot of different services besides what people might just think of hospice.
Yeah, I do think there are a lot of myths around hospice. A lot of people on hospice still have very active lives. I think a lot of people think that people are bedbound or but hospice is really about celebrating life, and so we bring in all these services. It's for families too, to try to prepare and make those last moments special.
And then what makes Haven the choice for families, in our community when it comes to home health and hospice care?
Well, what we're proud of is that we're the last clinician-owned, independent, locally owned home health, hospice, and home care agency in the Midwest. So all the other agencies have now sold to other companies, and now we're really the last local provider.
Well, speaking of that, getting ready 15th anniversary.
Yes.
What are the advantages then of this versus those larger corporation type services?
We think ownership matters. We think that the owner should live in the community that they serve. My wife and I have lived here all this time, and we've run into our patients, our families all the time in the grocery store and around, and our own employees and their people to us, their family members to us. We take a lot of pride in making sure that we take really good care of them. Reputation and accountability is really important, and so having a local owner is extremely important.
Absolutely. Okay, I said it before, podcast, let's talk about it.
Get into
You recently launched a podcast about elder care. Tell us about the premise of the podcast and what people can expect when they're listening.
Sure. So In Good Company, Elder Care in Your Own Backyard is a free practical guide for families who are trying to navigate caregiving and elder care in the Ozarks and abroad. And so our goal of it is to remove that guesswork and trying to navigate questions with Medicare and just home health and things like that. And so long story short, we bring in health experts and caregivers who tell personal stories and give us advice to help navigate elder care and just kind of get through the mess of all of it. And truly, remind people that you're not in this alone, that you're in good company. So long story short, the podcast is basically breaking down a lot of the questions and the mysteries when it comes to elder care and trying to just ease through all of that.
What are some of the topics you're seeing? What are the main hot button issues that people are bringing up that might have concerns with dealing with elderly family members?
Yes, so Medicare is a big one. I know a lot of things happen up in Washington, and so there are a lot of questions about that. So we're trying to tackle those big questions. Elder care in general. Big questions when it comes to your finances. What do you do when you retire? Do you put someone in a home? How does that work? So we try to kind of dive into that and try to answer the biggest questions that people have, and the misconceptions too, like elder law, things like that. One of the big takeaways we learned in one of our recent podcasts is that a will, that people are supposed to write up, is not your first line of defense when it comes to elder care. Yeah, I know, right? When it comes to retirement. So that's something you really need to look into and talk to a lawyer to go through that, because it's a long process to be able to figure that all out. So just the hot button issues, things that are making headlines, and of course just answering user questions. People that are listening to the podcast, what did they have that they want to know? And then we bring in our local experts to talk about all those things.
Yeah. Alex, as executive producer, correct? If there's local professionals out there that want to be a guest on the podcast and share their, knowledge, how do they do that? How do they go about that?
Sure. So they could reach us questions at ingoodcompanypodcast.com.
And you're playing a role in the Walk to End Alzheimer's. I have great friends over there, that organization. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the walk committee. So the walk's going to be on September 27th here in Springfield at Jordan Valley Park. Registration starts at 8:30. We work very closely with people that have Alzheimer's and their families. So we see the impact that it has on them. So that's why it's so meaningful for us to be a sponsor as well as be a participant in that cause. So if anyone's wanting to join us, feel free to join us on September 27th at Jordan Valley Park.
Amazing. And where can people find the podcast? How can, just where podcasts
Yes.
are?
So YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, so all of the above. Wherever you get your podcast.
That's where you find it.
And you're going to help a lot of people, so thank you for doing this.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, don't go anywhere. Coming up, we're going to tell you about the amazing food and drinks you can get this year at the Cattle Barons Ball.